It was extraordinary. When things worked for him, it was a kind of art.
When he gets the ball speaks for him. For you could see you need no words.
Nobody has really his style. It was typical Laudrup style.
When he was on the ball, he would light up the game.
He is the best player we've ever had. We've produced probably one of the best players the world has ever seen.
When he was at his best, he was the best. Oh, it was beautiful.
Well, I'm not going to say that I grew up with him, but I grew up playing against him. And there's one particular match where it's a semi-final in the cup, and they have, by a long way, the best team. I mean, they're winning the championship, but we had a good team as well, and we knew, keep Michael quiet, we got a chance.
They put a man on me for the whole game.
2-0 up, we're cruising, and the guy that man marks him gets injured.
And then in the end, I scored 2 goals and 1 assist, so we won 3-2.
Pass the ball to someone and then goal.
He always remembered that game because they were so close to going to the cup final, and in the end, he said, "Peter, yeah, I'm sorry."
That was the first time where he's sort of getting into late middle teens, where you're looking at him and saying, yeah, you know, he is going to be someone.
Born in Copenhagen in 1964 in the suburb of Frederiksberg, Michael Laudrup was perhaps always destined to play football. His uncle, Ebbe Skovdahl, and father, Finn, both played professionally, the latter capped 20 times by his country. As a young boy, Michael began his career at his father's childhood club, Van Loos, on the outskirts of Copenhagen. When Finn Laudrup became player-coach of Brøndby, both Michael and younger brother Brian joined the club too.
They are the football family of Denmark, and you know, if there was a family to be chased, it was them.
3 years later, Michael followed his father to First Division KB of Copenhagen before returning to Brøndby, where they actually played alongside each other.
I was 16 and I was just playing one friendly game. So we played 60 minutes together, yes. Of course he helped us when we started playing football and all that, but he has never been a father, you know, that was standing outside on the line shouting, do this, do that.
I don't think there was any pressure, but you can't deny talent.
Rasmus Beck is a journalist and close friend who's followed Michael's career for more than 20 years.
Michael could also see that, well, I have the skills and I have to use it. He thought about these things, and he knew that football would be his destiny.
That destiny would lie overseas. 1982's Danish Player of the Year attracted scouts to Brøndby from all across Europe, all eager to sign this precocious young talent.
I was very close to going to Liverpool at that time. Everything was settled for a 3-year contract. And then suddenly they called us and they said, everything is okay, what we agreed about, but instead of 3, it has to be for 4 years. And I said, sorry. I think at that time Liverpool was maybe one of the top 3 teams in Europe. So they thought, well, this young Dane, he will come call us back and say, of course I will come. But I didn't, and 2 weeks later I signed for Juventus.
Laudrup proved to be his own man, but it was Rome rather than Turin that became his home for the next 2 seasons. Due to the restrictions on foreigners at that time in Europe, Laudrup was loaned to Lazio.
Juventus fooled him. They made this contract with him, but they did not tell him that they actually had plans of placing him in Lazio. That was a surprise for him.
Well, they didn't care if you were 19 or 32. Playing 3 World Cups or just move from your mom and dad at home. The first year was very good and very useful for me. I learned so much the first year. The second year I didn't learn so much because we had 4 coaches in 10 months. The 4 years in Juventus, the first one was fantastic. With Platini, we won the championship. We won the World Cup against Argentina Juniors in Tokyo. At that time, in the middle of mid-80s, I think the top two players in the world were Platini and Maradona. And I played with one of them and against the other one. So only two foreign players in Juventus, and I was one, and Michel Platini was the other one. So I mean, that was fantastic. But after those 6 years, 4 in Juventus, I thought, well, now I have to move on. I had to make a new experience because otherwise I will get stuck here. And I think 6 years in Italy was enough for me.
If you shall say something that will be a picture of his career, it's the timing. Not only on the field, but also in choosing clubs.
Johan Cruyff was a manager, and I heard a little of what he had done in his first season from 88 to 89, changing a lot of players, playing in another way. So I said, well, I think I will try it because, I mean, Johan Cruyff, fantastic player, one of my favorites, if not the favorite player when I was young. So I think if we can just play a little like he did, then it would be perfect for me.
It was indeed a perfect match. Michael won his first league title with Barcelona in 1991 and went on to win 4 in a row. They became known as the Dream Team.
Well, that's just a word, but I think we played some very good football, and I think most of all we demonstrated that even without getting the 10 best players in the world, you can have the best team. And I think that was because then everybody talked about Big Eddie Stein and Baquero and Guardiola and Stoichkov, Koeman. But when we started there, none of us were the best players in the world, but then we became maybe the best team together with AC Milan in that period.
He was unbelievable. What he could do with the football, the way he would see passes, and when Michael was playing with great players, the way that they could interact and understand each other, and the way that they could understand his passing. Because his passing, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
He always said, if I have the skill to play and to be constructive, I will use that. You don't have to get dirt on your shirt to show that you have played well.
I think if you see him, it's a natural gift. You know, it's like when he has the ball, it's like also like a snake. You know, he just like a slalom skier. It's fantastic. It's so smooth what he does.
Where domestic supremacy leads, European success frequently follows. That Barcelona would achieve theirs at football's spiritual home seemed only fitting. In 1992, they travelled to Wembley to face Sampdoria in the European Cup final.
I always remembered Wembley from television when I was a boy looking at the games in the television. So for me to play that final in that stadium was perfect.
Ronald Koeman's trademark free kick finally brought the European Cup to Barcelona for the first time in their history. Against AC Milan 2 years later, though, it was a very different story. Not least for Laudrup himself, who wasn't even amongst the substitutes. His time in Barcelona was over.
What I remember most of all are my teammates. We had such a great relationship. And even today, we're talking 15 years later, when we meet, we just talk to each other like we were together yesterday. And I mean, that shows a little the specialty of that relationship that we had.
I remember one night in Barcelona in a restaurant where I was sitting next to Guardiola, when he asked me, "Is it true what I heard?" He said, that Michael is leaving. I said, "I don't know. Please tell him," he said. "Please tell him not to leave. He has learned me everything I know about football." And then he started to cry. Tears was running. It was a tremendous moment. Yeah.
didn't know what to do. But then it was also the year before the World Cup in the United States. And I remember my experience from Italy, from Mexico, '86. I said, well, after a World Cup, especially after World Cup, a lot of the players the season after will have a little down. Maybe some injuries, maybe not playing at the same level. And I said, well, I don't think Barcelona will win next year. Then in the end, I decided to go to Real Madrid. Why? A lot of guesses, people have said, no, he wanted to go to Madrid just to get some revenge. I said, revenge for what? I mean, I have a perfect time, 5 fantastic years here. Why should I do that? No, I went to Real Madrid because they were so hungry to win. They only had 4 or 5 players who were going to the World Cup. I said, this would be perfect. New coach, new players, hungry to win. I went there and we won the championship.
In the mid-80s, Jorge Valdano had scored 40 goals in 3 years as player at Real Madrid. By 1994, he was manager.
No one else had that level of creativity. We needed him because of his star quality to seduce the Madrid public after 4 years of the Dream Team. We didn't need just to win the title, but to take the ball away completely from Barca. And that was easier with Laudrup.
Laudrup's impact was immediate, but such a transfer had made him a target, where once he'd been adored, now he was despised.
It was the biggest shock in his career when he entered the home field at Barcelona playing for Real Madrid. He was so shocked. I've never seen anything. I was there. I've never seen anything like it.
Of course, I know when they see this white shirt, they get very angry, and especially if they see me in it, of course. So I don't think I expected it to be so bad as it was. I mean, 100,000 people, maybe not all of them, but at least a great part of them, whistling every time you touch the ball. I played very bad because I think it's the only game in my career where things from the outside have had a big influence on my game.
Laudrup, though, would have the last laugh.
He's actually the only player who have won 5-0 with both teams against each other.
Well, I think that's incredible. 5-0, I think it has happened 5 times in 80 years. And I played 2 of them, and on the good side, both times, I think in 12 months. Because I played the second half, and well, it just 1-0, then 2, and then 3-4, and then 5. And it was, well, we played much better. And then the other one with Madrid, of course, even 2 months before that game, they already started the press, the players, all this year, not winning 5-0, but we have to give them back. We have to win that game. And we played so. We could have won, I think, the one I won with Madrid was even worse, because I think we could have won 8 or 9-1 that game. It was incredible. Last year I was in the airport in Denmark, and I was standing there waiting for some families, and there was a Spanish family coming in the Copenhagen airport, and they just said the man said to his son, "Well, can you take a picture? You know who this is?" And he was a very good player, and the guy he was 10 years old, and the guy just looked at his father and he said, "I know him, yes, 5-0, 5-0. That was the only thing the boy said to his father, 5-0, 5-0, and nothing else.
If you play one time in Barcelona and you go to another big team like Real, you will get a lot of problems in Spain. But he did it, and they accepted it, and they applauded for him.
Sepp Piontek became Denmark manager in 1979. Together with Richard Müller-Nielsen, who managed Denmark to glory in Euro '92, he went on to build his team around Laudrup after giving him his international debut on his 18th birthday.
You could see already that time when he had the ball, then everything was perfect for him. He could do everything with the ball already as a 17 years old boy.
In London in 1983, Danish football reached a turning point. The teenage Laudrup played a major role in a European qualifier at Wembley.
I think that was a game who changed everything. Because had we lost that, which would have been normal, then England would have gone to the European, and well, Denmark then would, we never know. One of the most important moments for Danish football.
Denmark impressed in France and went on to reach the semi-finals of the European Championships, where only a penalty shootout could separate them from Spain. The Danes were eliminated, but their stock was rising. They arrived in Mexico in 1986, eager to take their part in their first ever World Cup finals. Confidence was soaring, the team highly rated, and the fans were in good voice. Michael was by now accustomed to close attention on and off the pitch, and during a World Cup it would be closer still, not least as next up it was Uruguay. Self-preservation was the order of the day.
At that time I was playing in Italy, and I mean the best defenders in the world, so I was used to it. And I remember that Sepp Piontek told me, and to Frank Arnesen and Elkjær said, "Oh, they are hot guys." So the first 10 minutes, pass the ball. Not 1 against 1. Okay. And I remember Frank and I, after 2 minutes, we just tried. And I think after 25 minutes, they had a red card for one of them because he had been kicking me and Frank Arnesen 4 or 5 times. So, and our coach, he was there. They never listened to me.
Laudrup had already created a goal for Preben Elkjær when he truly announced himself on the world stage. It was one of Danish sport's most iconic moments.
He outplayed, I think, 3 or 4 defenders. And it was not so much space back, but then even he takes the goalkeeper out and put it in, and fantastic goal. Yeah?
I think it was an okay goal. It was nothing so special. I always said it would have been even more special if the last I would have stopped and then dribbled it inside the net.
Everybody reached their level. If he reached his level, that is higher than anybody else, then everybody knows him in the world after that championship.
Denmark were now being talked of as potential world champions. Again, though, Spain stood in their way.
1-0 ahead, and when we just Jesper made a small mistake there in the last minute, and the second half was a disaster, and we lost 5-1. And then after the game, everybody was there and said, "What?" But until yesterday, everybody talked about Denmark and Soviet Union, and tomorrow we're taking the plane home. Spain has given me so much as a player for the club, and they have been taking so much from me as a national player. That's incredible.
Michael was now a world star and the poster boy of Danish football. At the 1988 European Championships, they met Spain in the group stage this time, but despite Laudrup's equaliser, Danish hearts were broken once more. 4 years later, the civil war in the former Yugoslavia meant a last-minute reprieve for the Danes and a place in the European Championships. The Laudrup brothers, though, had issues.
Michael and Brian decided not to play, and they told me that they would not play anymore in the Danish team.
Many people have talked about that he was in opposition to the coach, Riquelme Müller-Nielsen. Maybe he was, but if you ask him, he say no, it was not that.
Well, the thinking was that I started in the national team in '82. In '88, then we had to make nearly a new team. We did not qualify for the 90. Then we had to change new players again. So I said, well, it's nearly impossible that we were going to qualify. So I think now, in this moment, I have to use everything on my career in the club.
It was very important for him that his job at Barcelona, he wants to focus on that. And you have to respect that.
I cannot be a leader for the 3rd time in a national team. Once more has to change the team. So I stopped there.
I was very sorry that they didn't want to play more for their country, but the door was not closed.
Though his brother did return to the national team before the tournament, Danish football's finest hour took place without their greatest player. John Jensen opened the scoring in the final against Germany.
The best player, he was not in the squad. So we have to work even harder, and we have to play much better if we want to have a result. So even when he was not in there, he helped us anyway.
Obviously, it's a shame, but it was his own choice. So that's something that he has to deal with.
I took that decision, and I will stick to that. They won, and I think it was fantastic for Danish football.
There were also domestic issues to address. In only 2 years at the club, Laudrup was voted the 12th best player in Real Madrid's history. But they failed to reach the heights of the previous season. And 13 years in the goldfish bowls of Italy and Spain had taken their toll. Laudrup now sought a more peaceful existence. He discovered his safe haven in the Far East, moving to Japan, where he joined Vissel Kobe. But something was missing.
It was a very nice experience. I could walk around and was playing football, but the problem was that after 6 months, I was very happy as a person, but not as a footballer. I want to play at a higher level. This is not for me, this one. Then my ex-teammate Morten Olsen called me. He was going to Ajax, and he said, "Michael, hey, can you come here and when we play like this?" And I said, well, that could be a very good place because Dutch football is not the same level as Italy and Spain, but it's still good, and Ajax is perfect. So I went there, and well, we won the championship with 17 points margin, and we won the cup final 5-0 against PSV. So what else could I have been asking for at the club level?
Laudrup's international career had also run its course, as he announced he would retire immediately after the World Cup in France.
That World Cup in '98 was very special for me because as I knew that I didn't have to think about the season after and if injuries, and I just have to enjoy it. Of course, to do 100%, but I knew that when I had been playing the last game, it was over. Against Nigeria, we played fantastic football, and 15 minutes into the second half, 4-0. Everybody was saying, what's up here? And then my last game, playing against Brazil. So I think the end of my career was fantastic. It couldn't have been better.
It truly was the end of an era. Younger brother Brian scored in the 3-2 defeat by Brazil, but he too called time on his international career.
I never think we have been arguing during a game. To be playing with my brother has been so special for me, you know. Because he does a lot of things I do, and the other way around. So sometimes it's like looking in a mirror and said, well, I don't have the ball. He has. So that it has been a little strange way to see another player doing the same things like you do, and well, it's nice when it's your brother.
In 2000, Laudrup once again answered the call from Morten Olsen, this time to assist with the national team, before taking sole charge of former club Brøndby, whom he led to the League and Cup double in 2005. He was honoured by the club with the opening of the Michael Laudrup Lounge, a corporate suite dedicated to Brøndby's finest ever player. He went on to manage Spanish side Getafe for a season before taking up the reins at Spartak Moscow. But it was on the pitch where Laudrup truly made his mark, and he'll always be remembered as Denmark's finest footballing export.
He told me a story once about a back he was playing against. He took him around the field so many times. This back went up to Michael and said, "My coach had said to me that I have to remove you from the field. So can we make a deal? Don't make a fool of me in the second half, and I won't kick you. That's a deal."
He was like a chess player, and his touch with the ball, his passes with the ball. He was at that stage. He was maybe the best in the world.
I was an individual player, but I always did it in function for the team. What is best for the team is best for me, not the way around.
Michael Laudrup played the game differently from anyone else. Superlatives such as genius and indescribable have been showered upon him, from Raúl to Romario, from Cruyff to Maradona. There is no doubt he is one of football's greatest.
I think if you make a book, it's very difficult to have a better ending than mine. If I cannot become world champion, then to play my last game with the national team as a captain against Brazil in a quarterfinal. That's not so bad. Huh?